Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let me know how the sound is. Let me know if everything is good. If the audio levels are good. Is the music too loud? Is it too low? Give me some feedback, guys. Give me some feedback and I will make sure we're changing everything. We're adjusting everything according to plan. We're taking it easy today, guys. Am I going to speak something? How about you wait? How about you wait? How about I don't speak anything and you wait? Lower music slightly. Okay, all right. I can definitely do that. I'm too low, music is too high. Okay. I should be fairly high, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Is it still too loud? Is it still too loud right now? Now it should be fine. I'm taking it really low, but let me know if it still needs adjustment. Now it is good. I can definitely make it even lower. I can definitely even lower, but now it should be fine. Now it should be fine. All right, here we go, guys. Tata Steel round 3 analysis. We have a big game. FABI is facing Gukesh. So far, so good in the championship. 1.5 out of 2. So definitely a very decent start. First round, FABI made a draw against Wei with black pieces. So, you know, not a bad start. Second round he won against Jordan Van Forest. That was a very good victory, very important victory, because again, this is the type of event where you need to be able to strike. You need to be able to strike when you have the white pieces and when you're playing against lower rated players. And if you manage to do that over the course of 14 rounds or like 13 rounds, that's a long event. If you manage to strike whenever you need to, that's going to give you the edge. The edge, guys. So what do I think about the position? Yes, that's a good question. Gukesh, by the way, he's also on 1.5, so playing his first championship as a world champion. Obviously, a lot of expectations on his shoulders. A target on his shoulders. Everybody in that tournament, I can guarantee you, everybody wants to say that I've defeated the world champion. Whenever you're a world champion, you have a target on your back. This is the way things work. By the way, here we go. So I'm going to start it from the beginning just to kind of see how we ended up to where we are right now. It's a long time control, so we're not missing anything. That's all I can tell you. d4, d5, c4, e6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, bishop b4. This is the Ragozing, one of the most solid approaches in chess whenever you're facing d4. By the way, let's put black in front of us. Black is FABI. So we're going to watch it from FABI's POV. FABI's POV. Take, bishop g5. They've played... I'm not 100% sure if FABI played this against Gukesh, but he definitely played against Richie Rapport last year in Tata Steel. And in that one, I think it was with g5 and c6. In this one, and I think this is something that perhaps slightly surprised Gukesh, FABI decides to go bishop f5. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but basically this allows the next move, which is queen to a4. Queen to a4, knight c6. Now you have to defend. Obviously, you have to defend against this check. And the only way to defend the bishop at the same time is with the knight. Now, this is considered to be not a great placement for the knight on c6. You would much more likely to want it somewhere on d7, maybe even b6, maybe f8, g6, e6. These are the good squares for the knight. And that's why bishop f5 is considered to be, you know, not so topical, right? Knight c6, e3, g5, and Fabi is already showing that he wants it. He wants it. Bishop g3, castle. Bishop b5. I like this move by Gukesh for the simple fact that you're sort of forcing the trade of this bishop. So at least for all your efforts, you're getting the two bishops. Bishop c3, knight goes back to e7, knight to d2, protecting against any sort of knight to e4 ideas. Knight g6. So the plan for Fabi is pretty obvious. Fabi just wants to go. Fabi just wants to push his pawns. He wants a checkmating attack. He wants an attack against the king. What's up? What's up? Glad you like the C-Squared podcast. Welcome, welcome. This is the live streaming part of the C-Squared podcast. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, you get the best bang for the buck. Something like this. I think that's how the saying goes. Queen d1, h5. Looking to strike, h3, making some space for the bishop. c6, bishop goes back. h4, bishop goes back. And b5. Now, b5 is a bit counterintuitive to my eyes. I understand it, but it is a little bit counterintuitive to my eyes. The idea is that you want to stop c4. You want to stop the change of the structure. You put a pawn on b5. c4 is not going to happen anymore. But the problem is you're creating a hook. You're creating a hook for my a pawn, right? So now a4, you can target the pawn on b5 like that. Now Fabi's idea behind it is that whenever you're going to go a4, I'm going to meet that with a6. I'm going to meet that with a6. a6, you take, and then I'm going to keep this pawn structure as is. And that avoids any sort of c4. So this is the idea. This is the idea. a4, a6, castle, rook to e8, rook e1, queen e7, and bishop f3. Bishop f3, bishop e4, bishop e2, bishop f5. Oh, did I choose the wrong moment? Did I choose the wrong moment? I might have chosen... So they just repeated once. Let me see if I can gauge whether this game has finished already or not. I think they're playing on a 15 minutes or a 30 minutes delay. So this game could already be over in case they repeated the moves. So bishop f3, bishop e4, bishop e2, bishop f5. Let's see. By the way, I'm going to give you guys something. Wait, what did I give you? I didn't give you anything. Let's see if I can give it to you. Okay, this should work better now. This should work better now. Boom. Okay. Hopefully we're not gonna get copyright strike. But that's Gukesh. That's from the playing hall at Tata Steel. I'm not gonna stay with that for too long, and I'm gonna try to find Fabi occasionally. But this is the live shot from the playing hall right now. I don't think you're not gonna get that live shot for too long, just for the simple fact that I don't want to get copy strike on the channel. We are risking jail time, exactly, and I'm doing it all for you guys. I'm doing it all for you. We are risking jail time. That's a funny one. That is a funny one. I'm not going to keep it on. No, 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 no. Again, I don't want to risk jail time. Okay, so let's try to understand this position. Now we kind of know. If you go bishop f3, I go bishop e4, as FABI seems to be indicating. So let's try to understand what other options white has. Something that white does not want to do, at least not for the moment, is take on b5. Taking on b5 would be actually very bad. Very, very bad. Because if you take on b5, then you're never getting this file anymore as white. So I'm going to be the one playing queen to b7, and I'm going to be the one most likely focusing on the file. At the same time, as black, FABI is the only one that can strike on the queen side, on the king side, excuse me, with g4. That's why you kind of set all of these pieces, this block of pieces, ready to go g4, right? This is what you want. You want to go queen e6 or queen d7, and then strike with g4 at the right moment. So white definitely does not want to take on b5. That would be bad strategical mistake. Not only that, but think about it this way. This knight, and this is probably what you should be striving for as white. You want to activate this knight. The problem is it comes with consequences. When you go knight b3, I can go knight e4. I can jump with the knight in the center like this, right? And then you have to start calculating things. Like, hey, you have the weakness on c3, how do you defend that? If you go queen c2, well, that places you on this very dangerous looking diagonal, right? So probably you want to go queen c1. I don't even know exactly what you want, but I guess you want to defend it from c1. But again, this opens up possibilities for an attack, right? With a knight in the center. So you might be at home, you might be watching this and seeing that knight to b3 is what the engine is recommending, but it's not an easy move to make. It's not an easy decision to make. It's not an easy decision to make, for the simple fact that you're allowing my knight to jump to the center. And this seems to be what Gukesh is focused on. Gukesh is still thinking, by the way. This is what I think he's focused on. Not allowing my knight to go into the center. So yeah, that's... I don't think Gukesh will take a draw. I don't think Gukesh will take a draw either. Yes, yes, yes. Gukesh, look, he's not the type of guy that takes draws. We've been seeing that, and FABI is not the type of guy that takes draws either. Like, he's definitely looking to try to get something more than just a draw in this one. But as black, you know, after bishop to f3, I'm not really sure exactly what you're going to do next, right? Like, how are you going to change the status quo? And it's not easy. It's not an easy question to answer. But luckily, once again, I do think that Gukesh is going to try to play on. And I say luckily because we're going to get a fight. I hope we're going to get a fight. Christian must be somewhere warm. I am somewhere warm. I'm in my house. I'm in my house, so it is quite warm. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. We just started this. Hope everybody's having a good time wherever you are. Hope you guys are enjoying the stream, enjoying the FABI, occasional FABI cam. Let's see if I can give you a FABI cam. Let's see if I can give you a FABI cam. What? I don't like when that happens. I don't have a FABI cam yet. FABI is not at the board right now. I'll give you a Gukesh cam for a second. There's a Gukesh cam. There's a quick Gukesh cam. A glance. Is FABI alone in the Netherlands? No. No, Fabi's not alone in the Netherlands. Fabi's with Grigory Oparin. Grisha Oparin. There's Gukesh right there. Cool. Very artsy angle. Yeah, I love these cameras. I love this in between the chess pieces cameras. They're the best. They're the best. So yeah, while we let Mr. Gukesh think, because he is thinking right now, let's take a look at what's happening in the other games, because I do think that we're having some fun fights. Definitely some fun fights. Ooh. Okay. Let me discuss this position for a second. This is the game between Wei with the white pieces against Vincent Keimer. And this looks absolutely wild. I don't even know exactly how we got to this position. I'm going to speed through this one. So it's basically a Jacopiano with bishop g5. Very typical way to try to play for a destabilizing position as white against the Jacopiano. Rook e1, g5, bishop g3, h5, inviting this pawn storm on the king side. h4, g4, knight g5, and castle. Okay. Knight a3, maybe looking at ideas to get the knight either to f5 or maybe even d5. d4, striking in the center, king g7. f4, some crazy stuff. Okay. Knight h7, immediately targeting the knight on g5. I like this. f4, bishop g4. Apparently knight hg5 was much better. Knight hg5, and my guess is if you take with the h pawn, then I can take on f4, and this pawn on g5 is going to be somewhat in trouble, especially after this knight e5, taking advantage of the fact that this pin is still active. Get the knight either to g6 or g4, and bishop f4 is a big threat as well. Bishop g4 followed by knight f3. Yeah, this one is looking good for black. This one is looking really good for black. So that's a missed opportunity right there. He played bishop g4, bishop e2, exchange, take on d4, and king g2. So he sacrificed the pawn, but he's saying that queen h5 is coming. You're not stopping that anytime soon unless you play knight f6, and I will explain why you don't necessarily want to play knight f6 either. And if you take on g5, then I think after h takes g5, rook h1, queen takes h5, you're getting checkmated on the h-file. You might survive, but it's not going to be an easy survival. It's not going to be an easy survival. Did we get the move? We did not. Wait. Are we? Oh, did they repeat? I think they might have repeated. Bishop f3, so they repeated already twice. Actually, wait. 1. 2. Okay, so if Gukesh plays bishop e2, the game can be over. Because this would be the first time, queen to e7. The second time. And if Gukesh plays the move bishop to e2, and he did, I think this game might actually just be over. Okay, this is... Okay. I think this might actually just be over. I'm going to check on the Gukesh and Fabi cam. I think Gukesh is already looking at. Yup. There we go. There's Fabi. Fabi's about to stop the clock. Fabi's asking for the arbiter. Let's listen in. Let's listen in. Let's listen in. And that's it. That was a draw. I think they're about to chat a little bit. I'm trying to listen to what they're saying. Chat, what do you think they're saying? What do you think they're saying, chat? I have a surprise for you. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this. You do not want to miss this. You do not want to miss this. The party's not over. The party is not over. You do not want to miss this, chat. Okay, here we go. So that was it. That was it. I'm back. I froze for a second, but I'm back. And you will soon be getting a FABI interview. You will soon be getting a FABI interview. Okay, all right. You guys did not expect that. You guys did not expect that. You thought he's not coming. But he will be coming. He will be joining. Fabi will be joining the stream for a couple of minutes. Fabi will be joining for a couple of minutes. Let me just try to... Let me just try to wait for... We're waiting for him right now. But he will be coming. In the meantime, make sure you have some questions ready. Make sure you have some questions ready. I will be picking some questions. It's not a bad result. I mean, look, with the black pieces, if your opponent does, and Gukesh is, I'm not saying anything about Gukesh because Gukesh always is ready for a fight, and I'm sure he really did not want to repeat the position, but I think he just couldn't find any ways to get out of it. And to be honest, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense because it's not easy to continue. I've already explained to you the best move by the engine, saying knight b3, whatnot. It comes with a lot of consequences. It's not the type of consequences that if you're not sure exactly they're going to work, you're probably not going to go for that. So I wouldn't necessarily call it uncharacteristic. It's just very difficult to continue. It's a very stuck position. It's kind of a stuck position. Like, you make a move, you try to get something, but at the same time you're allowing me a counter as black. So Gukesh was like, okay, you know what? He's a dangerous opponent, and so was Fabi. Gukesh with white is a very dangerous opponent, so there's absolutely no reason for us to risk additionally more than we have to. I think this was the mindset into this one. Go to sack down. Yeah, I don't know about that. Can we get a 360 of the merch while we wait? Sure. Well, I mean, there's not... There you go. So it has a very nice... Oh, and by the way, I'm wearing C squared sweatpants as well, as you can see. This is the FABI cat with the archangels, some nice details on these sweatpants. Super comfy. Love wearing this in my home. Love wearing this whenever I'm going out as well, and everybody. It's a conversation starter. It's definitely like, what is that? What is, people are asking, what's that cat? The cat is playing chess. That's pretty cool. So yeah, people usually get quite excited whenever they see the cat playing chess. The Fabi cat that looks a little bit like Fabi. He has the glasses and everything, and yeah, I think it's pretty cool. What about Nodirbek's game? I mean, we'll go to that at some point as well. We'll go to that at some point as well. In the meantime, guys, if you did enjoy this, and make sure you like the stream so that it gets pushed by the algorithm. We're waiting for Fabi right now. This is why we're taking a short break from game analysis, because I'm just trying to keep an eye out for Fabiano when he's going to join. But he's on his way. He's on his way. Is there anywhere decent to eat in Vike? I feel like you're just asking that so that Fabi tells you where he's going to eat. Do you feel Gukesh should have pushed for some moves? I mean, it's easier said than done. Again, it's much easier said than done. The way I see it, Gukesh understood that, he will need a lot of time to try to find a path forward, and he just felt like he doesn't have that time. Like, if you can also check their clocks, he finished with 28 minutes against 31 minutes. This is only move 24, and it's a very difficult position. A position that, it's a very consequential position. You make a bad move, you're in trouble. So... Okay, guys. Let's see if I can do this. And we should be having Fabi in just a second. Fabi, can you hear us?
I can, but can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you, yes.
Is this better? Do I have the right mic?
Probably not.
Probably not the right mic.
But I can hear you. I can hear you well. Actually, yeah, you do have the right mic.
Do I?
Yes, you do have the right mic.
It definitely can't be the right mic.
It is the right mic. You have.
If you think so, I don't think so.
Chat, can we hear him well? Chat is saying that we can hear you quite clearly. All right, Fabi, draw. A bit unexpected. I was expecting Gukesh to continue pushing, but he decided to take the draw. I was trying to explain to Chat that this is a very difficult position to try to find a path forward. And, with the black pieces, if your opponent doesn't want that, there's not much you can do about it. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it's I was surprised a bit just because he's in general always fighting. And I was worried about my position. I wasn't really sure. We discussed after the game. I I mean the move which concerned me was bishop g4. It was really the only move that was really concerning. Although I did have a general concern that the position is of course very complex.
Was it after bishop e4 or after bishop f5?
After bishop to e4, bishop g4.
Got it.
So I was going to take on g4, and basically, I mean, we discussed quite a bit after the game. So I can tell you what his thoughts were, and maybe what he underestimated a bit.
Yes.
So what he thought was that he would take with the pawn back after I play knight takes g4, which we both had the same idea in mind for black, which was knight f8 to give the bishop some place to escape on g6. Then the knight goes to d7, and I think the pawn on g4 is not very good for him. This change of structure is not good for him because it takes away any like queen h5, queen g4 ideas, and also gives me like maybe h3 at someday. So what he underestimated was queen g4. So this is what worried me. I was planning f5. And I was thinking that the correct move after f5 was queen d1. And then the problem is that my bishop is a bit out of squares on e4. So I was going to play queen f6, and then knight b3, he threatens f3, and I was going to play f4 here. And then I was worried about like knight c5, for example, this kind of thing. I didn't think my position was necessarily bad. It is very double-edged, of course. But it's kind of like the difference between one tempo might be like maybe black just loses in some lines.
It's a bit uncontrollable, right?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to make sure that you're not in some trouble here.
And by the way, I think all of these moves that you just mentioned are the first line of the engine. So
like this is kind of what we discussed, and I mean, I can understand why he wasn't sure about it. I still did think that he would probably go for it. I have to say that I kind of overestimated my position when I went for this whole h5, h4, b5 stuff. It was I think misevaluation.
But this is kind of in the spirit of the position, right?
It kind of looked natural to me, but I realized that I basically am out of ideas. So yeah, I think probably with that in mind, like maybe h5, h4 is just not a good idea. He probably knew the position in general a bit better from the opening than me because, I mean, he did say that he was he did say he was somewhat familiar with it. I don't know if he was super familiar, but he mentioned, for example, that move 14, bishop to e2 instead of queen d1, that rook e8 is the correct move. And so he obviously had some decent grasp of the position.
This is pretty deep into the opening phase, so and not in one of the main lines, right? Bishop f5.
Here's the funny thing: it's like no, it's a sideline. Bishop f5 is a sideline, but in general, he knows the Rogozin very well. So maybe it was a bit of a risky choice on my end. Although I I am a Rogozin player, but he plays it from the black side. He obviously knows it quite intimately. And so the funny thing is I played Bishop f5 in the last Title Tuesday, but I don't think it made it to the database yet because it's Monday, right? So people download their Twig on Monday. They probably forget to do it, until Tuesday, and and they don't see this game. But I didn't mean to play it in Title Tuesday. It's just that I was like walking and I'll play it on my phone, and just like walking through the streets and not really paying attention. So I just played Bishop f5, which I knew it was a reasonable move, but I didn't obviously want to play like mainland stuff in a Title Tuesday. And then so I had this thought before the game today, like maybe he'll play this line, but then I thought, okay, it's very unlikely. He's never played it before, so. And then if he plays it, he probably hasn't seen this game because it's so fresh. It's some random blitz game. But I did actually ask him. He hadn't seen the game, but he still knew the line pretty reasonably well. So he played this Queen D1. I think it's probably a novelty. I can check. Yeah, it is a novelty.
Queen D1,
And
yeah. Did he play it fast?
um,
Actually, I can see that. He played
not
it
too
after like
fast.
7
He took
minutes.
some time, maybe 10 minutes.
7 minutes, yeah.
But he definitely had an idea because like he mentioned Bishop E2 Rook E8 is like and I'm checking my notes and Bishop E2 Rook E8 is indeed the line. So and like he knew that Knight G6 was the best move order because I wasn't sure C6 Bishop E2 Knight G6 but he knew these ideas like he wants to get Bishop E2 Queen D1 to stop H5 ideas. There's actually a game of Leko Yuyangi, where Black played Knight E4, but I did remember Knight G6 was my intention, but I just didn't remember the details, and he obviously had a better idea of the position.
Yeah.
So let me see, what should I play here? So Queen D1,
Queen
yeah,
E7
H5.
is at least what my weak engine is saying, but
No, he definitely had he definitely had it in mind because now I can't play Rook E8, so that's why he didn't play Bishop E2. And Queen E7 is not a very natural move, so it was probably his try that like people won't know Queen E7 and won't figure it out, which is a very, very fair assumption.
so I'm trying to
So
understand. If Queen E7 he goes, let's say castle, what's the big difference? Now you go
the castle H5.
H5, H3, and now you don't go
Yeah, but
H4, I
now I
guess.
can get like H4, G4, right? Or G4 immediately.
You can go directly for G4, yeah.
So he's delayed in castling, and if Queen E7, Bishop E2,
Then you can
now
go
I
Rook
play
E8.
Rook F8, and if castle, then G4. Okay, this is yeah. If you don't know the line too well, then it's possible
Yeah, to
to fail to understand it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just like checking the lines in a bit. It's very complicated stuff, I have to say.
so you're basically just delaying C6 and he's delaying castle. This is the game that you guys are playing right now with this Queen D1, Queen
Yeah,
D7.
I'm delayed. Like I need to basically I need to stop his Bishop E2, Queen D1. So that's why if Bishop E2, Rook E8, and now if Queen D1, Knight F4,
Ooh.
and if E takes F4, Bishop D3, of course. So
Oh, that's
um,
nice.
so that's why
That's some high level
yeah.
stuff.
And of course, if he castles on move 14, then I play H5,
Okay,
and then I start.
you're giving out the juice. You're telling Chad the juice. I mean, this is some 2800 juice right there. Chad should
Yeah,
not know the juice.
no, Queen D1. It's interesting that he had a quite deep idea in this line, which is a sideline. I mean, obviously, I understood that I'm playing someone who just played a world championship match and probably prepared a lot of things that were never even seen in the match, right? Opening wise.
Yeah.
So there was some kind of concern, like maybe I shouldn't have played the Rogozin in general because it was predictable, but I still really believe in the opening. I think it's a really good opening. Um, but of course, like maybe the smarter thing is to just prepare some surprise.
Yeah.
But let me see the final position. Like I'm just curious how bad is it? So after Bishop F3, Bishop to E4. I'm actually quite happy that I found this move because it's a challenging move. He has to do something. He has to start to calculate. So take, queen take. So HE4, knight F8 is good. That's correct. Okay, F5. Computer is a bit critical of F5. It says F6, but I didn't want to play like this. Queen d1 looks correct. Queen f6, knight b3, f4. So now he has a bunch of different options. So computer likes to include a b5. I thought that I could play cb5 here.
Mm-hmm.
EF4, GF4, F3, bishop F5, for example. Take on E8 or rook. Yeah, I actually saw this position, Queen D2. I was trying to understand it. Rook E1, Rook E1. I thought that it might be okay because I do have a passed A pawn. Knight on G6 is very well placed.
You
It's
will
like,
probably lose something, right? You will. It feels like your pawns are hanging on, especially that pawn on f4 by a thread. But you
yeah,
do
I
have
can say
the a
that.
pawn. The a pawn is strong.
Like after F5, okay, I think like Queen E2 is what the computer is showing as like the best move I mean, the evaluation is very similar. Nobody plays Queen E2 because it's kind of just illogical. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't want to like Queen E2, Queen F6, you don't want to be in the line of Black's rook. It doesn't really make sense. So so basically the human moves are either Queen H5. Actually, it's after Queen H5 he said King G7 was Gukesh said that, and I see the engine says it's quite important for Black to play King G7 because I thought Queen F6, but after Queen F6 apparently now A takes B5,
Mm-hmm.
C takes B5, and Knight B3. I didn't realize that this was so unpleasant, but this is starting to get extremely dangerous.
Why do you have to
So,
take with the c pawn?
because
Like,
if A B5, then like either Bishop B5 immediately or take Bishop B5, I think, and
yeah,
G5 is hanging.
bishop e5 is very strong actually. Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually just game over.
it's game over. Mm-hmm.
So CB5, Knight B3. So after Queen Shot, I need to play King G7. Hopefully, I would have found this move, and now he can also take on E4, FE4. This is what I really would have wanted to avoid because now my structure has changed, I think, for the worse. And computer gives like 0.6. I mean, usually this means it sucks, but it's not going to be easy for white to convert an advantage like that. It's
Yeah,
not like.
maybe you can go
And if
something
he
like
had
a rook.
played Queen D1, Queen F6, I mean, I have to say he really should have gone for this because clearly he's not risking. I mean, uh, I think his feeling should have been that like he doesn't risk and maybe he's slightly better, maybe much better, but yeah, I'm quite happy that he didn't play on because I think one of the variations we considered after the game was like we discussed was knight b3 queen d1 queen f6 knight b3 f4
Mm-hmm.
and his instinct was to play f3 bishop f5 queen d2
Mm-hmm. Which is
and
pretty
now if they
decent
take
also, right?
everything it's definitely not bad. But I do have this b takes a4 resource. I did mention it. Knight c5. And then this one is like point 0.3, point 0.4. It's not. That's the thing. Like, if my pawn is on g5 rather than f4, it's probably better because it's a much. On f4, it's much more weak. It's under the attack of his bishop. So, so he should probably take on f4. But it's not a terrible position. It's like
No.
I think my more or less my feeling was kind of like my calculation was more or less correct. I was on the right path. I probably would have played these moves quickly. Um, like I don't think I was a. I mean, it was definitely dangerous, but I don't think it was enormously dangerous yet. From the point of view of like I more or less had a good idea of the position, the evaluation, and what I wanted to do. Um, so yeah, of course I did. It's a bit of a lucky break that he accepted the repetition, but I don't think that I was in enormous danger yet.
No, absolutely not. No, 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 no. And I mean, especially with the clock ticking down, at some point it's going to become a mess, right? Like it's such a complex position. There's so many details. At some point, one, if not both of the players are going to end up in time trouble and it's going to become a mess.
Yeah, it's like if he had played the moves if he had played Bishop G4 very quickly from the beginning, then of course I'm in huge danger. But because he thought for like 20 minutes, he allowed me also to get a pretty good idea. Like I would spend most of the time calculating. So I probably spent like about 40 minutes calculating the position after Bishop E4, Bishop G4 in total, maybe half an hour or so. And I was able to get a pretty solid understanding, more or less, of what is going on. And this helped me, also helped me be confident.
Yeah.
Um, So maybe it wasn't like huge practical danger at that point. Although it is a dangerous position, of course. There was definitely a chance he continues that I lose the game, but I would say less than a 50% chance.
What's the atmosphere in Vike? How's the weather? The weather is pretty bad. The usual, the
It's
usual wind.
it's definitely cold, but it's not colder than probably where you are. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not bad at all.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's overall good, just the start of the tournament. It's been an interesting tournament for sure so far. A lot of interesting games. I think today is a more quiet day probably. Can have a look at what's going on in the other games.
Up to you. Up to you. If you want to look at any other games, if not,
I mean, I think Wei Yi's game is by far the most interesting. Other games,
that's the one we were checking out
you
as well.
know, Prague is pressing, but I would assume more likely a draw will occur. But he's certainly pressing.
Maybe
Noterbeck,
maybe you can
it's complicated.
give us your the story about your almost heart attack.
No, okay, it wasn't. I mean, so I was on the treadmill. I was walking, not jogging, just walking on the treadmill and um, walking like on. I set the incline at the max, so I was just walking uphill. Um, but yeah, I did start to get like a bit nervous when I was watching this game because it was tense. I don't really care who wins, but for some reason at some point I just wanted Anish to win the game.
This is the game
I
between
don't know why.
Gukesh and Anish from round one.
I don't really care, and that he lost didn't matter to me. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted him to win. I don't even know why. I really don't know why. But after I was hoping that he would play Bishop before. I
Maybe
think the
because
thing
he
is,
deserved. It felt like he deserved it, right? Like he
it
played
kind
a
of
good
felt
game.
like
He played a good game. He defended very well, and finally he got Gukesh in a losing position. So it felt like he should have won that game, at least from
yeah, it felt logical, right? I mean,
logical. Yes.
it's also I felt like Gukesh was a little bit like throwing caution to winds. It's not a bad thing, of course. You could even say it's commendable, but it did feel like you play so recklessly. I think that's maybe a fair word for what he was doing with Bishop G5 H4. That yeah, maybe it feels like justice if you play so recklessly and your opponent punishes you. Um, Although there is something to be said for bravery being rewarded, also often happens as well. It is like one of the better ways to play for a win is to play with a great degree of risk, and then you also give your opponent hope and things go out of control. But for some reason, I don't even think I had a rational reason. I just thought, okay, I wanted to play bishop before. Then he played bishop before, but then to Gukesh's credit, he blitzed. He saw the move coming. He blitzed out his next two moves just to get Anish nervous because his next Gukesh's moves were forced. So he played them completely instantly, which does get your opponent nervous, especially like I think he understood he's losing. I think he saw knight g4, and only thing to do is to just hope that Anish doesn't see it. I mean, you could also see Gukesh's like face, the relief.
Mm-hmm.
It was so
Yep.
visible, just how
Yep.
relieved he was, and the fact that it's either winning or losing, it's such a rare thing. But you have a position where only one way wins, everything else loses. It's usually either you have a win, but there's maybe some like bailouts. But here it was all or nothing. So my heart rate, I did really feel, and then I kind of checked because on the treadmill you have like the heart rate thing, and
Yep.
my heart rate jumped to like 130, which I was
Wait,
just walking. I mean, uphill, maybe my heart rate should be like 105. I don't know, something like that. When
is 130 a lot? I mean, I usually get whenever I do the stairs, I usually get to like
yeah, but
150,
stairs are so much
160.
harder than treadmill.
Hmm.
Stairs, I think I'll also get pretty high heart rate, but treadmill walking uphill is relaxed. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, then I calmed down immediately after the game was over because I didn't really care about the result. It was entertaining, but I don't really have a favorite.
Cool.
So wait, has some certain chances for sure.
Yeah, Wei
No, sorry, I mean
against
Prague has some certain chances,
Vincent.
but he's going to bring his king to c3. It's very
Ah,
unpleasant, yeah. Bring your king to c3.
defend the pawn on b3, attack the pawn on a5. Yeah, actually this looks pretty decent for Prague.
I hope that he does hold because, of course, Prague is on +1. I guess better to have draws than someone, starting to pick up steam. Also, Arjun on -1, like, uh, if he starts to lose more games, it's obviously not really good for. But okay, it's so early in the tournament, it doesn't matter too much. Okay, Max Warmerdam against Noterbeck is interesting. Very tense position. Should be, I mean, Noterbeck, but Max has 4 minutes.
Yep.
So low on time.
Yep. 4 minutes against 30 minutes. Yeah, this is not good. I mean, the
Well, I don't
position
know.
is simple enough
Yeah,
to not have to blunder in time trouble,
but it's tense also. There's a lot of pieces.
yeah, maybe bring the
Okay,
knight in
Noterbeck
for...
plays, he always puts his opponent under time pressure. Sometimes to his detriment, like against Prague, I mean, he should have started spending time to win the game. But it's definitely putting pressure on the opponent that he's playing so quickly.
Yeah.
Mendonca has like a pretty pleasant small edge as well. I mean, not much, but definitely I would definitely enjoy playing white in this position where e4 is a weakness and the bishop on c5 is rather not really doing much.
Yeah.
Okay, Wei is very interesting because it's just a bit of chaos. Yeah? I mean,
I have no idea what's happening in this one. Computer is
wait,
saying 0,
take
0.
on h5 would check. So wait, take on h5, the king goes, I guess, to g7.
Yes. I guess rook g8, king f8 is somewhat of a threat. Try
But
to
queen
escape.
g4?
Queen g4, go back to h7 or h8.
Or maybe h8, because then rook d5, you have f5. Yeah, and then the b2 pawn, if you let it live, that's a scary pawn. Rook f5, you trade the rooks, and then, yeah, you don't want to allow the b2 pawn to live. So, I mean, white has a draw in hand.
Yeah.
Unless pawn goes to h6, which I don't know. Can you go to h6?
Queen g4,
Probably,
king h6.
probably
Yes.
not. King h6, rook d5, f5, rook f5, rook f5, e5, and rook e6 comes, I guess.
Ah, that's a check. Yeah.
Well, queen f7, I mean, maybe it's not mate, but I don't know.
Queen g5 and rook e6 seems to be just.
Oh, or rook e6, rook g6. Yeah. Should be. No, you can't. Okay, so white has a drawn hand, but does white have any more than that? After king h8. I don't see it after rook d5, f5, because once the queen is defending, like, what's the attack? So maybe it's just and rook d5 immediately. Here, rook d5 immediately.
Instead of queen g4, yeah? Yeah, rook
Yeah.
d5, f6.
Yeah, rook d5, or I was thinking rook d5 immediately without taking on h5. But yeah, f6, because rook h5, king g8. But that's scary. Wait, no, rook d5, maybe f5? Queen h5, king g8? Like, that looks maybe more reasonable. Although I don't know.
Seems to be good for black.
Is it good? Are you checking with Ninja?
Yeah.
Okay, so rook d5, f5 works. Yeah.
I have the
So
pawn.
the issue is that white needs to get rid of the b2 pawn to like feel comfortable going for any sort of very sharp things. But yeah, maybe he'll just go for a draw. He also has 2 minutes, so
Yeah.
2 minutes versus 22. Okay, the most interesting game probably is turned into a draw.
Yeah, queen h5 was played.
Yeah, I guess you play king g8 here. It's more naturally king g7.
You want to have f6, queen g7, defend on the 7th rank.
I mean, I just like after king g8, rook d5, I want to play f5.
Yeah.
So that I can play queen g7, queen h7, and so on.
Yeah.
Get the queen into the defense. And the thing is, white is so dominated on the queen side. I mean, white is down 4 pawns on the queen side. So unless he has a direct knockout after f5, should just be like he should repeat now.
Yeah.
So wait, Noterbeck, he played c4, which I do like the move. I mean, knight d5, it's a very, from a strategic point of view, I'm worried for Noterbeck because knight on d5.
Can I just take
Sorry,
your
what's
pawn? Knight e4?
Knight e4, knight e4, knight e4.
Yeah.
You probably have something in mind.
Maybe just take on knight g4. Take on
That's
a4, knight g4.
probably what he has in mind, yeah. F5.
Maybe f3 or... I mean,
After F5, like I can play so many things. I can play rook a d1.
Yeah.
I can maybe play f4. I don't know. It's a bit nuts.
f4 is interesting.
Rook a d1, rook a8. But then, yeah, I don't know. Maybe f4 at that moment is like feels that white is so active that white should not be risking there.
Yeah, no, c4 is probably a good move. By the way, we were saying that he only has 5 minutes, but this is move 34, so he's not that many left.
Yeah, the second time, which was very
It's like what, 1 hour, right?
it's 50 minutes, but it's very generous in general, you know.
Reassuring, yeah, somewhat.
Yeah, once you get there, you feel like you have a lot of time, unless unless you're in serious trouble, and then you might get into second time trouble. But he should be relatively safe. So I'm just worried about Arjun because, like, okay, he's gonna play King D2, King C6, King C3, King B6. Maybe this is like what we'll see. And then White can just play this forever, you know? It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
You're just tied to two weaknesses. But I don't see White's concrete ideas, so it might be very difficult to. And if Black gets a knight to C6, I guess it just becomes close to equal.
I guess that probably is the plan. So if you go King D2, can you go something like knight B8, or it's just
no, but then Rook A5.
Rook A5 and you lose C5 as well. Yeah.
No, but King D2, King C6. I want to put my king on B6 and then get the knight to C6.
Ooh, check this one out. After King C6, B4 apparently is super strong.
CB4, take.
Yeah.
Really? B3, King C3. Yeah, the B pawn is. He played knight C1, which attacks A5, so it forces Rook A7. Have to play Rook A7.
Yeah.
Rook A7. Maybe he wants to get knight A2. Knight C3, put the knight on B5. That's pretty awkward for Black as well.
Actually, yeah, that's probably what he's gonna do.
Wait, knight A2, King C6, knight C3, King B6. How do we continue?
Probably knight. Rook D1.
There's also rook knight B5 and then rook D1. It's like checkmate also.
No, rook D1 is really bad for.
Yeah, you can't allow rook D1. It's just to get a GG.
Yeah, rook D6, knight B5 is a problem.
Knight C1 is a nice. Yeah, okay. This could be really dangerous for Arjun.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, rook A7, knight A2. So can I play like rook A6 or let's say knight B8, knight C3, rook A6?
It looks like you're just barely hanging on. Knight E4.
Well, I put my knight on E5, more natural. Knight E4, King C6.
Knight E5. Okay, I like knight E5. Knight E5.
Yeah, I don't know like why when I go to a square, sometimes I'm thinking about like the backwards way to go to a square, but more logically I should go to E5, right?
Sure. I mean, to be honest, on E5 you can get hit with a F4, yeah? More or less.
Yeah, but anyway, like at that point I got my king out of danger, F4, knight D7.
So I go knight C3. What do you do after knight C3?
At which moment knight C3?
After knight E5.
Rook A6? Or King C6, or no. Yeah, actually, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, why am I putting my knight on E5? I can't get anywhere. Okay, so let's say I start with King C6. You play knight C3, right?
Sure.
So let's say I play Rook A6.
Yes.
Now knight B5, right?
Sure.
Knight B6. So I'm threatening to A4. That looks okay to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, knight on B6 is pretty nice because you can't really play knight B5 because of A4, and you can't move your rooks, so maybe you get frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say he's probably okay objectively. He played King C6. I mean, he's playing fast, so that's a good sign for him. He's pretty pretty confident.
He kind of has to, right? He's only down to like 10 minutes. Knight c3 is on the board.
Yeah, he's also like, he's very passive, so.
He doesn't really have a lot of alternatives. I guess now it's sort of a big moment because white is threatening knight b5, rook d1.
Well, you can play like rook a6, knight b5, knight b6. The thing is rook d1, a4, it leads nowhere. Rook d6, king b7. So the knight on b6 is very nice for stopping any rook d7 ideas.
Yeah.
The only issue with the knight, like let's say you play rook a6, I play like king d2, knight b6, king c2. I mean, white has a lot of time. White can be patient here.
You just stay like this. Yeah.
Maybe knight c8, knight d6 though. Like, I would still feel more or less in control of holding this position if I were in Arjun's shoes.
Yeah.
Because it feels like the moves are relatively easy. I don't know.
No, I agree.
Wait,
I mean,
Noterberg sacked a knight on h3.
what?
What's going on? He sacked a knight on h3.
Wait.
What's happening? He played it very quickly. Oh wait, it's not a sack. Knight on d2 sank.
Oh.
Doesn't see a position. He just blundered knight h3.
Oh no. Oh no.
Wait, but it can get concrete now. Gh3.
Queen g5.
But wait, you can also include bishop d5. Because I was thinking like maybe rook, king f1, queen d2, rook d1.
Queen g5, knight c7, yeah? But yeah, I will include bishop takes d5. This is kind of a problem. Because then you have bad bishop against good knight also. Knight is coming.
Yeah, I'm looking for like maybe some ideas, but I don't see any tactical ideas.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is like bishop d5, e d5, queen g5, king f1, queen d2. I mean, I want to get rook a1, d6, but rook a1, queen b4 is, I mean, it's like borderline. But okay, if after knight h3 you play king f1, okay, that's what he played. So bishop takes d5 is, well, no, queen g5 you don't have. So bishop takes d5, so he'll take with the e pawn. It's guaranteed, I think. And then knight g5, f4 is
but maybe
queen
I can
f6.
go knight f4.
But also knight g5 because f4, queen f6.
Yeah.
Okay, so bishop d5, c d5, like he just plays the same position without the pawn. But like the good thing for him is that he does have some knight c4, d6 ideas. But bishop d5, c d5, where does knight go?
G4.
Probably to f4, right?
Sure.
Where do?
Yeah, f4 is fine as well. Even though I don't want to give you the g3 hit. Let's just go knight g5.
Okay, knight g5, knight c4. So I have d6 ideas maybe.
Okay, I'll give you one more move. I go f6. If you don't go
f6,
d6,
rook. But you're playing knight f7.
Knight f7, knight d6. Yeah. Give me one more move.
Okay, so d6.
You have to go d6. Yeah. Take.
cd, rook ed1, knight f7, knight e3.
Yeah, knight c5.
Knight d5, queen d8. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm down 2 pawns.
Yeah.
I do have a really nice knight.
That's a lot.
I am down 2 pawns.
That's a lot.
1 pawn, it would probably just be good for white. But 2 pawns. Yeah, blundering knight h3.
Green Firefly Light, thank you very much for the 11.99. Yeah, probably an answer to that is a bit tricky. Does Fabi see any weaknesses in Gukesh's game? Or any weaknesses that he has fixed? He's asking. An answer is not necessary if Fabi is preparing for after he wins the candidates.
Do I see weaknesses in Gukesh's game? Well, everyone certainly has weaknesses. I mean, we saw some weaknesses today from both of us. Like I misevaluated the position going for h5, h4. He didn't believe enough in his advantage. These are not major weaknesses. I mean, we're talking about like fine details, of course. We're not blundering pieces or anything, but certainly it shows some flaws in our understanding of certain positions. So of course he has weak. Like in the first game against Anish, which he won, he he was objectively losing. I mean, they both made some significant mistakes. He's a extremely powerful player. He's certainly one of the best in the world. If we go by the results of the last, let's say last year, so 2024, not counting the few games here because it's still too early here. But if we count only 2024, then you could arguably say he was the most, um, uh, like he had the best results in classical chess of any player. I would say that it's not like, I mean, I base this on the candidates. Without the candidates, of course, I don't think that we could really say that. But with the candidates in mind, then yeah, I think very arguably you could say he had the best, most significant results of any player because he won the candidates, which is the hardest tournament to win.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think that means that he, is the strongest player in the world because it's of course still a limited time frame. But like we can definitely say he should be considered among the few players who are performing the best in classical chess, along with. I mean, the issue is that like Magnus doesn't play, so it's hard to really rate him. Like we understand that he's a stronger player than Gukesh, but if you don't play in classical chess, then it's hard to really say this. Like, yeah, you're a stronger player because we kind of feel this, but we can't gauge it in results because he doesn't really play. He plays 20 games a year, maybe. Um, and the same for Hikaru. Like he plays so few games that, and also because Gukesh did outperform him in the most important tournament that they both played. So definitely can't make a strong argument that Hikaru. Like I don't feel that there's a very significant difference between Hikaru and Gukesh in terms of quality. Like they both are very strong in an individual game. It's basically a toss up. In a match, I think it would probably also be pretty much a toss up. Um, and I feel like also if I played Gukesh in a match, it would be pretty close to a toss up. I mean, I have confidence, uh, but I do also believe that we should like look at the numbers um, and in that sense, uh, probably a pretty even battle. So again, we have a number of players who are very close to equal level, and Gukesh is certainly among them. But everyone has weaknesses.
Yeah.
They're just not going to be super evident all the time because you can see Gukesh sometimes playing like very very um, almost error-free chess, as you can also see some other players doing that as well. But I mean, thing is like also you can like let's look at Wei Yi in this tournament. He had the first two games where he didn't make a single mistake or inaccuracy, and they were perfect games. So, but there were also games where like a lot of players could play these kinds of games because there were very few complications and a great deal of control. Um, but Gukesh is a player who does tend to mix things up a lot, which will result in maybe some more mistakes, but also more mistakes for your opponent. It's the same that like Arjun does, or maybe Noterbeck. Uh, and I wouldn't say it's a style of like young players necessarily. I mean, I also sometimes tend to do that, maybe play with a bit less control, but a bit more trying to fight a bit more for chances with understanding that you'll make mistakes and so will your opponent. So yeah, there's a lot of factors. I mean, like I think that Gukesh is a really strong player. I rate him very highly. Um, and I think I don't know if he'll get stronger in the future. It's hard to say, of course, he might get stronger, but also change in certain ways. Like you can get stronger, but maybe take less chances. So it's not necessarily that your results like I definitely think I'm a stronger player than 10 years ago,
Yeah.
like for sure. But in terms of my rating, it's pretty similar. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like you get older, you change, you improve in some ways. I would say I have much greater understanding, but still, my opponents do too, and I also lost maybe some things um, that were a plus for me in the past. It's anyway. I'm sorry to ramble a bit.
Fabi, you're giving out too much juice. It's okay. It's okay. You gave some technical chess juice. Now you're giving some psychological juice. No more juice for the chat. The chat needs to be better behaved in the future if they want more juice. So I'll let you go. Go get some
It might
rest.
feel like all draws today. It's not impossible.
It doesn't seem to be impossible. Yeah, a lot of
It's, I mean,
the games are
the only
finishing
question
up.
is like, does Max hold with limited time down a pawn? But maybe he has enough compensation. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he wins.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah. Cool, Fabi. I think that's a good way to send us off. I'm going to get off as well. It seems like an interesting finale to this round, but most likely I will be back with some more coverage tomorrow. Anyway, Fabi, thanks for joining us. Everybody, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.